when you start to see that everybody has it, and that the earth has it, and that trees have it, that this is really kind of the energy that is behind our vitality that makes everything live and grow, you start to realize calling itself is a misnomer.
Going Inside is a podcast on a mission to help people heal from trauma and reconnect with their authentic self. Join me, trauma therapist John Clarke, for guest interviews, real-life therapy sessions, and soothing guided meditations. Whether you're navigating your own trauma, helping others heal from trauma, or simply yearning for a deeper understanding of yourself, Going Inside is your companion on the path to healing and self-discovery. Download free guided meditations and apply to work with me one-on-one at johnclarketherapy.com. Thanks for being here. Let's dive in. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a unique episode. A number of months ago, I had the privilege of hosting Ralph De La Rosa on the podcast. This was my first time meeting them on the podcast. And then after that, we actually connected through Instagram over our love of music and a lot of shared interests from rock, punk rock, emo music, growing up on the same types of music and being a musician as well. And the reason I'm doing this video is very tragically, Ralph passed recently. And so I have just been trying to think of some small way that I could honor Ralph's voice and their work and legacy. And so this is my way of trying to do some small part in that. So Ralph wrote a book called Outshining Trauma, A New Vision of Radical Self-Compassion. It's really about integration of Buddhism and IFS. So that's a lot of what the interview was about. It is a very good book. The foreword is by Dick Schwartz, and Ralph brought so much of their humanity and wisdom and humor to the work and was very much an activist as well. And so I just wanted to revisit this episode and talk about Ralph and their work. So that's what we're doing today. So if you're watching the video version, I've got it pulled up. If you're on audio, I'm going to play some of this interview with Ralph and react to it.
And I'll give you, my whole story is out there everywhere online, but to give you the synopsis, I'm a trauma survivor. I'm multiple complex trauma survivor, a lot of bullying growing up. Dad abandoned my family, just to give you a brief inventory. And the bullying became severely violent in high school to the point where I dropped out and just internalized the story of I'm a nobody. I belong in the gutter. And also that was one part of me. And I had another part that was a spiritual seeker. And, this cannot be it. This cannot be why we're here, to just get banged up and then to pass that on to others around us. And through young adulthood, there was a big exploration with both drugs and spirituality simultaneously, and a view that both were the same thing. They were like a way out where that made you feel better and put you in control of your emotions, right? And neither of those things checked out. Yeah, and then that just got worse and worse until I hit bottom and had to get serious about some things. And then in getting serious about some things, having to go to rehab and just having a trauma therapist and discovering Buddhist meditation, which isn't about a way out, actually. It's about a way in and through. And it doesn't offer you, at least the form that I started exploring, doesn't really offer you too much. Just, make friends with yourself. That was really the origin. And then here we are 20 years later from that moment, somehow.
Yeah.
And I had just planned on being a broke social worker forever, working with kids. It was a good path, not sustainable path.
Noble one.
And somehow my work just started getting attention. Meditation teacher first. And then the offer to start writing books just came at a moment.
Yeah. So some things that stand out about Ralph was their vulnerability, which that word, maybe it starts to lose its meaning over time. That really strikes me. And actually, I remember hearing Ralph talk about their story, especially in their book. And I thought many times throughout reading the book, man, I wish I could be so brave and courageous as to put more of my personal story out there. So much of my training has been about how to not get in the way of the work and how to take self-disclosure as a therapist very seriously and conservatively, if that. And I think there's a good reason for that, especially when you're a newer therapist and learning what to share and what not to share and what risks to take in your sharing. Sometimes it can deepen the work. Sometimes It can create barriers in the work. But I really appreciated throughout the book and this interview Ralph's honesty and candor around their background, their struggles with addiction, and how IFS and Buddhism helped them find their way through it all. That has really stood out. And that's something I think about when I think about Ralph. Let's skip around a little bit and see what else we get into.
And also, one thing I'll say that has blown my doors open about IFS is the discovery that healing isn't necessarily a process of checking off a bunch of boxes of what's wrong or addressing symptoms per se. It's actually a byproduct of getting to know yourself in a very deep way and at an increasingly granular level, a little bit at a time, of course, but get to know yourself in a profound way in the atmosphere of curiosity and compassion.
Yeah.
And the healing just unfolds around you. And to me, that's just so much more doable than like the list approach or the addressing symptoms approach.
Ralph's love of IFS was really obvious and contagious, and it's something that was impressed upon me as well, and an excitement that I really share. I think a lot of people in the IFS community have a tremendous love for the model, for the work, for Dick, and Ralph was no different and was very much on a mission to bring the model to more people. I know to both their therapy clients as well as through their kind of personal brand work with the book, being on podcasts, going around and giving talks. I know Ralph had just finished up a tour going around the country to talk about the new book and doing these Dharma talks, and had facilitated an online circle doing these Dharma talks, integrating IFS and Buddhism. So really just talking the talk and walking the walk, to say the least. Hey, if you're a therapist, I want to help you deepen your client work, help them get better results without burning yourself out. You can do all this by learning to harness the power of IFS. So I want to tell you, we've got a free IFS resource library that you can download now. This is full of resources like my quick start guide to IFS, the full IFS protocol, a bunch of demos of me doing IFS with real people, and extra self-care practices for therapists. You can get all this for free in the link in the description, and I hope you enjoy. Let's see what else.
Go down the line of things that make an adult life really work. And then those two things being able to coexist. So you're in your childlike spontaneity and wonder, but you're not an idiot. And you are in your full maturation as an adult, but you haven't shut down, what I think is like the really good stuff in life.
A part of me says it feels like a rare combo. I remember when I was in high school and I had a lot of issues as a kid, as a teenager, and I got in a lot of trouble. And my therapist was literally saved my life. But I remember even as a high schooler, parts of me felt very serious, like I had to be really responsible. Other parts of me fought that and rebelled quite significantly. And even a few years out of high school, I would go back and see my therapist at home. And a couple years into college, he told me, you know what you need? Your homework is to go home and just play. Whatever that means. Do something without an objective. And for whatever reason, all my parts and my managers had just become so obsessed with advancing myself or a skill, or even for me as a musician, been playing drums since I was 10. At times, playing drums has been ruined for me because every time I sit down, either my parts are too loud and they won't let me play, and I just think I suck and I'm not advancing. And if I can't be the best jazz drummer in the world, why do it? Or I think it's only, I have to be doing productive things, right? Like I have to be advancing myself as a drummer. And the past few years, I've been really trying to just play. My 4-year-old daughter is a great inspiration for that, because the first time I put her behind a drum set, she just plays and experiments and thinks it's cool and holds the sticks in a weird way and just loves what she's playing. And I'm just like standing there with my mouth open, being like, I used to do this. And then being like, my new goal is to play drums tonight and like just play, just make sounds and be as playful as possible. And it's so hard for me.
Yeah. So you're good at the mature aspect, right? The rudiments, the progression, etc.
Right.
And then the childlike aspect needs to be reclaimed. I'm the opposite. Former metal goth, punk emo kid here as well. And I'm a drummer also, and I currently sing and play guitar in a post-punk band. And I'm the opposite. I actually don't know the notes that my guitar strings are tuned to. I don't know the names of chords. I have no training. I'm doing vocal training now, but that's the first time I've ever really had consistent lessons in 30 years of music. I can tell too good at the childlike aspect. You need to bring in some more.
We should probably jam then. That's probably what that means.
But there was a time in my life where, like, I can relate, where I first read, and I can't remember where, that play is the opposite of anxiety. And this was pre-discovering IFS. And I was like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
The only thing I ever do for fun is go out for drinks with friends. That's the only laughter in my life. So that is something that's oriented around alcohol, and I work on that.
Yeah, totally. It's also that we can't be in curiosity and also anxious. And so when we're helping clients connect with their self energy and just even asking directly, can you cultivate just a seed of curiosity inside and see what happens? That is a way to work from anxiety, to feel more calm, to feel less anxious, which is what most people want, right? But so much of therapy is about coming in and tamping down the symptoms and just breathe more, which is a way of saying, can be a way of invalidating our fears or anxiety, or saying, don't be ridiculous, just breathe, everything's fine. Or a lot of the messages from our well-intending parents of just breathe, you'll be fine. I'm sure nothing bad will happen at school, but you don't know. And our parts are waiting for that reassurance, or they're at least waiting for the reassurance that regardless of what happens at school, I'm with you. Okay, we can get through this together.
That's powerful. That's powerful when somebody can provide you that. And if you didn't get it from your parents, hopefully you can get it from a therapist. And you can also become that for your parts inside.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know I don't know half of what's going on in life. That's something a lot of people are terrified to admit, but it's true. None of us know what to do. All we have is trial and error and what we figured out so far. But I'll be here. Like, another definition of, I think, being self-led, or that enlightenment within reach, is like cultivating a genuine, heartfelt sense of, I always have me, no matter what goes down.
The only guarantee. Ralph's commitment to the model and the mission was really clear to me. Also, Ralph had a really great voice for radio or podcasting. Ralph would start talking and you just can't help but listen and be soothed by that deep voice. So that's something else that I am thinking about. Let's play a little more.
And in the Buddhist, and really in the Indo-Tibetan sense, we'll say, samsara is endless. Samsara is, in other words, we're not going to fix the world. We're not going to get there. The human condition of fundamental confusion, and frankly, having nervous systems that aren't wired for the 21st century. We have hunter-gatherer nervous systems. That is where we are evolutionarily. So we're mismatched for this world. And yet, we also have the principle of the bodhisattva in Buddhism. And there's even a bodhisattva vow that one might take at a particular point in their journey. And the bodhisattva principle is, you literally vow to keep being reborn in this world and to not transcend this world until all the suffering is gone. And in that vow, you even acknowledge that it's going to be endless. And so you're vowing to not transcend this planet, to not leave any beings behind, even though it's impossible.
Wow.
I think that really speaks to our situation right now, is even though, like, it's never been more dark, honestly. And even though it feels so impossible, even though there's so many shards of glass rushing towards us right now, we can still make a pledge, like, no, I'm going to stand here. I'm going to stand here. I'm going to be with my feelings about this. I'm going to process, but I am going to stand up, and I'm going to work towards what I believe to be right and what I believe to be the compassionate resolution of this, no matter how impossible it feels, no matter how powerless I feel, no matter how minuscule the change that I perceive that I affect is, that's still worth it to me because I'm in this one for the long haul.
Yeah, man, what a voice and a message that Ralph had. It's almost like Ralph was born to do this and was born to talk and teach and profess. There's some people that you just start listening to and you really want to listen to them and see what they're going to say next. And I remember when I was reading Ralph's book for the first time, I had a sense that they are very intelligent and know a lot and know a lot about IFS and a lot about Buddhism. And not that it's about knowing a lot necessarily, but I just had a sense that Ralph's commitment to it all was quite deep. That really stood out to me. Let's play a little bit more.
And it doesn't have a fixed set of traits.
Yeah.
It can be calm, it can be curious, it can be playful. It gives rise to a wide array of things, and it's a dynamic force. It's not just like some fixed stayed thing. It just, we open to it and it begins to exert its influence quite effortlessly within the system. But it's not a little person inside of you. That's the real you. It's more fluid than that. And when you start to see that everybody has it, and that the earth has it, and that trees have it, that this is really the energy that is behind our vitality that makes everything live and grow, you start to realize calling it self is a misnomer.
Yeah, exactly.
It ain't personal.
Yeah.
So no self.
That's a really good answer. So this was Ralph talking about this idea of self, or in Buddhism, no self, basically like transcending self, and the expansiveness of the definition of self, which is something I've talked about on the show and done at least one particular episode about it, because I think one thing I really love about the model is we can develop and create our own definitions of self. And I think we should do that. That's part of the beauty of it and the permissiveness of the model to adapt it into your own worldview and idea of what is self and self energy. And in their book, Ralph does a really good job of explaining this idea of no self and how it actually pairs quite well with the IFS concept of self. Yeah. We'll play a little more and then wrap up here.
So here's a matter of semantics where just a kind of turn of phrase sometimes can help us understand a concept in a different way. I think about it as offering the heart. Can you offer the heart to that part of you? Can you appreciate its struggle? That alcoholic part of you is in hell, that it can't get out and it thinks this is the only way. Doesn't that break you open a little bit for that? Offering the heart is love. But our concepts about love are just sometimes very confusing to apply.
That might be as good a note as any to end this episode on. Again, branching off of these ideas of self and self-energy, and really coming back to this core concept of love and bringing love from self to the parts of you that need it. To me, that's the model in a nutshell, and one of my favorite ways to actually describe it. So you can hear Ralph describing it there. I'm really grateful I got to know Ralph in a limited capacity and got to help promote their work in some limited capacity. And out of all the amazing people and voices we've had on this show, I'm just really lucky I get to do this and meet people like Ralph. And so, yeah, certainly grieving that loss and that connection and that leader in the IFS community. And one way you can further connect with their work is listening to the full interview that I did with Ralph, I think a couple months ago, and also checking out their book, Outshining Trauma, A New Vision of Radical Self-Compassion. Really good book. And if you're a practitioner, a good book for your clients as well. Again, my small way of commemorating Ralph here today, and we'll leave it there for now. Thanks for tuning into this unique episode, for spending some time with me around this and Ralph's work, and I appreciate you being here and hope you take care of yourself. All right. See you in the next one. Thanks for listening to another episode of Going Inside. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe wherever you're listening or watching, and share your favorite episode with a friend. You can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at John Clarke Therapy, and apply to work with me one-on-one at johnclarketherapy.com. See you next time.